All right, it is time now once again for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. My name is Elias Mellis, but you can call me Eli for short. And who is this lovely lady to my right?
Well, I'm your girlfriend, and my name is Dawn Ledgerwood.
That's right. You are Dawn Ledgerwood, my girlfriend, but you're also the Executive Vice President and Director of Operations here at the GNA, which is short for Genuine Networking Association. Isn't that right, baby?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get this show on the road. Welcome back to another episode of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. This is episode number 65, and today we have a very, very critical and important topic. It is called When Life Doesn't Go as Planned. One more time. Episode number 65 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast is When Life Doesn't Go as Planned. So today, we're talking about something every single person on this planet has experienced. Something that doesn't care how much money you have, how old you are, how smart you are, or how much planning you've done. Life doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes things happen that completely change our direction. Sometimes doors slam shut. Sometimes opportunities disappear. Sometimes we wait for answers that never seem to come. And sometimes the things we thought were setbacks end up becoming blessings. So, this is going to be a very, very, very touching and important show. But before we get to all of that, as always, I must first start off by asking you, babe, how's the past week gone for you here at the GNA, which again stands for Genuine Networking Association?
Well, once again, another good week. Not too much to report on. We've just been really, really busy. Lots of appointments, lots of family stuff this week. We had graduations and a memorial service and, just lots of busy stuff. But in
the grand scheme of things.
Well, no, I was going to say, in accordance to our title here, life didn't go as we had planned it on certain days. And it does throw a wrench in what you're doing. And, I'm going to be honest, on Thursday, I went to a celebration of life for a dear friend. And, we came home, everything was good. And then, Eli was going to get ready for his walk. And I got up and smacked my knee on the table. That's it. Just hit my knee on the table. But it was bruised and it hurt. So Eli did cancel his walk to be at home with me. But I was not seriously injured. Nothing for any of you to be concerned about. And I know there are people out there that are genuinely concerned about my health and what's going on. So I'm here, rest assured, healthy as I was last week, just got a bruise on my knee. That's all.
And to add to that, because I had no clue you were going to talk about that. A lot of times we go on the fly on these shows, which is what makes them so special, right, babe?
Well, it was just a really good example of how life doesn't go as we had planned.
Well, I basically decided to take Dawn to urgent care because, the facility that we're a part of, Monday through Friday, they have urgent care 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was like shortly after 7 o'clock. And I'm like, let's get down there and just make sure.
Yeah.
You have insurance. You can get an x-ray. And hopefully, you didn't re-injure anything from the past. Dawn has had some unfortunate incidents or accidents over the last few years. She's had a few broken bones,
to say the
and
least.
and I just didn't want to take any chances. So we went to the doctors, and X-rays were clear, just a bruise, and it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah,
but
things happen.
But yeah, we did go to be careful.
Right.
And I do suffer from neuropathy. And when I'm off balance, especially after I stand up, I really need to make sure like I'm stable before I start walking.
Right.
And that time it slipped my mind, and right on the corner of that table of mine, I clipped my knee. So, just another lesson. Life can throw you a curveball.
Absolutely.
And throw you a curveball on strike 3, and you just got to go with it.
Strike 3 means you're out, right?
Yeah. But then you got to pivot and do something the next time.
Absolutely. But you've been resting your bruised knee, for the last few days, putting some ice on it, taking some ibuprofen, some Advil, and it's starting to feel a little bit better. So.
Yeah, it is. It feels better. I can walk on it, no problem. But it was a little swollen. And of course, it's a bruise. So it's a little tender there. That's all. It'll be gone in like 2 days.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. Well, thank you so much for updating us regarding that. Is there anything else you want to mention here at the beginning of the show in the monologue, baby?
Well, no, that was kind of my point, not leading into what our topic is about, as far as, you can't, life throws you lemons sometimes, and then you just got to make some lemonade out of it. And I think we're here to help you make that lemonade.
Absolutely. Before we get into it, I've got 10 questions I'm going to be asking you regarding this topic. We're going to go through the first 5, then you're going to take your break, and then we're going to wrap it up during the second half with the second set of 5 questions. This week's been pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on, and there's been a lot of drama that's been surrounding the GNA, and I myself, along with Don and the rest of the GNA executive team, ODN, who's our director of online safety, Tia, our director of special events, and Sandra, our director of public relations. We've all been trying to really stay out of the drama and stay away from the drama. Sometimes it's very difficult to do so because, people say things about you on the internet, and they spread negativity. They spread false factual statements about you, and you feel the need to respond and defend yourself. And sometimes you have to actually do that, or people will actually believe that is true, and it can affect you. But, after a while of defending yourself, you really don't need to respond to it as much, or really, much at all anymore. So, I've been focusing on many other things, some things that I am not going to talk about publicly here, because there are some people on YouTube that, try to hurt people that are just good people, trying to live their life and just trying to, make an honest living and just try to do things the right way. But, I've had to focus my time outside of YouTube. I'm not going to get too far into it. People can assume whatever it is. I've got some other responsibilities.
We've got some projects, I would say, we're working on.
We're working on some projects.
Yeah.
And a lot of those projects and things,
it takes time.
They take time, and some of them even have a due date. And so some of those due dates are right around the corner. So, I've been trying to balance taking care of that and being able to take care of those situations by the due date, along with still trying to do some, live streams on YouTube This podcast goes out to YouTube on our main channel, GNA Genuine Personal Development, and also throughout the entire audio-only podcast network that probably doesn't know about us on YouTube yet. But hey, if you want to go up in the description, about halfway down, you can see the video version of this podcast, and subscribe to our main channel. And then if you go in that description section, you can see the link to our secondary live streaming channel, GNA2 Genuine Live Personal Development, where we go live. I go live, and sometimes Don joins me. Sometimes we have other guests. We try to go live fairly often. Lately, it's been a couple times a week. In the past, it's been almost every day. We hope to get to that again in the future. But just some other things are taking a higher priority right now, and we just have to do what we have to do.
Yeah.
But we're still here. Go ahead.
Oh no. Well, I just added like their projects. That's a good way to explain what we're doing.
Right. Right.
And I just have to say, I'm helping on 50% of these projects, but he's doing the rest of the work. He's got things with his family that he's doing other things. Like, there's just so much. I actually can't even keep up with what we're doing each day.
Yeah.
Doctor's appointments, and I know I haven't had many, but I have one this week that, we have to fit into our schedule, and, and then another one on Tuesday. So it's like,
yeah.
It's just like, then we have to look at his time that he can go for a walk and make sure that it's at an early enough time and all that, So all those things come up.
Yeah.
And then you could have your day planned out perfectly. And then, boom, you're thrown into left field.
Right.
Now you're going a different direction. And that's where you have to pivot.
Correct.
And you don't look at that as a door that's shut. You pivot in another direction.
Absolutely. Also, before we get to the first question here, babe, I've been seeing a lot of things on YouTube lately, regarding the future of copyright and intellectual property rights. Don and I did a stream on this last week, episode number 64. So go check that out if you missed it throughout the audio-only podcast network or on our main YouTube channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. But it's just ironic to me that I'm starting to hear people say that pretty soon we're not going to have any intellectual property rights. Smaller creators are not going to be protected. I'm hearing this from a content creator by the name of Tim Pool, who I believe just turned 40. He's a millennial. And I'm only saying this because it seems like to me the generation that's made the biggest stink over the last 20, 30 years has been the millennials. It's not all of them. I'd have to say probably about 45% of the millennials, in my opinion, do things the right way. About 55% of them are very entitled, very spoiled, raised differently, and they feel they're above the law.
Can I just say, I think that holds true to a point where, because I've seen as the millennial generation gets older, then there's a snap and there's a change and they grow up and they realize how hard it is and nothing is on a silver platter or nothing just comes to you when you want it, and that's when they pivot to go in another direction, because that first one isn't working anymore. Well,
we've seen many millennial content creators, primarily more so the male millennial content creators. Some of them are very, very entitled, and they do things on YouTube, for example, that are, in my opinion, against the law. And they think they're above the law. They think they're entitled to do all these things because they're not violating criminal laws. They're violating civil laws. And in order to be able to get restitution regarding being civilly violated, you have to sue somebody in civil court. You just can't call the police and say, this person is doing this and that to me on YouTube. They're, blah, blah, blah. They're going to tell you it's a civil matter. take it up in civil court. That's the bottom line. But this millennial content creator, Tim Pool, continues to double down and say, because I first heard him say this last week when the case we were talking about in last week's episode, Ethan Klein versus Denims. Ethan Klein sued Denims for playing 70% of his hour and 40-minute long video that he put out and had a copyright registration on. And Denims filed the motion to dismiss version within federal copyright court. And the preliminary decision by the judge was that Denim's usage was fair use, even though she used 70% of it. She was making commentary, and that audience would not have gone over to watch it on Ethan's channel. Well, how does the judge know that? Like, why should the audience go and watch it there where Denim's played the heart of the work and played 70% of it? And now this guy, Tim Pool, 40-year-old millennial American journalist, he's made a lot of money and he's talked a lot of smack. And he used to be a liberal. And then when he realized it's more profitable to become a conservative, for content and to amp up his controversy, he switched over to the conservative side. I honestly, in my opinion, I don't think he's not a dumb guy. He's a very smart guy, but I just think he's another one of those bad actors on YouTube, just saying whatever it takes to get attention and to keep making money. And he's been saying that intellectual property rights are not going to exist. This case, if the judge decides finally, if the judge makes a final decision within the next few weeks, that Denim's usage is... Are you okay?
Yeah, I was just looking. I don't recognize him. I just wanted to see a picture of what he looked like.
Oh, you're trying to see what Tim Pool... Yeah, you haven't...
Thank you. Yeah, no, I haven't seen...
No. I'll show you who he is later. He runs... he has many channels. I think Timcast is his main one where he does a live stream pretty much almost every day. But he's saying that we're not going to have intellectual property rights, and especially if this case is lost by Ethan Klein, it's going to basically set precedents that people can use as much of other people's content as they want. Even an hour or two long video, they can restream, rebroadcast the whole thing, and as long as they do commentary, it's fair use. And it's not. And this is why I think this was a very bad decision that was initially made by the judge. I really hope there's something that can be done by, the claimant in this case, also known as the plaintiff. In a copyright case, the plaintiff's the claimant and the defendant is the respondent. The claimant is the one that has the claim, the copyright claim. And I really hope there's something that Ethan Klein, the claimant, the plaintiff, along with his attorney, can do to stop this decision, because it is going to severely affect how the future of creators can make money with their own intellectual property, their own videos, their own audio, their own images. Is it going to become a free-for-all? Because, this decision... Like I was saying on our show last week, and I've been saying to you privately and throughout some other live streams on YouTube, I've been saying that, why even have copyright? If everything is fair use, what's the point of having copyright protection when everyone can just say, it's fair use, it's fair use. I can use as much as I want as long as I do commentary. It's fair use, it's fair use, it's fair. That's the thing that's really bugging me. And I wanted to throw that in there because, this has affected me tremendously. Even regarding this topic, when life doesn't go as planned, like,
yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, just switching legs.
Okay. I never knew I was going to have so many people violate my copyright over the years out here on YouTube, and I've created probably close to maybe 3,000 pieces of content in the last 8 or 9 years between live streams and pre-recorded videos. And I've been exploited, and people have made more money using my content than I have on my own content. There's a serious problem with that. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
there's a serious problem with that. And quite frankly, if that's the way things are going to be in the future, I just won't create content anymore. If I can't control my own content, if I don't have rights to my own content and people can make more money off my content than I do, then why even make the content? Why do it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's just not right. But anyway, anything you want to say regarding that, or should we get to the first question?
Let's go.
Okay, question number 1. So Dawn, babe, what does when life doesn't go as planned mean to you?
Before, when life didn't go as planned, I would be angry. I would be placing blame on why it didn't go, quote unquote, my way. Today, it's a different time for me. I've matured. I handle things differently. So I would say I look at it more like that. Yeah, life can throw things at you, but you know what? That may be something that needs to be done to open your eyes. It's almost like God is shaking you in the direction you need to go, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So sometimes that lemon can actually be a diamond.
Anything else you want to add to that, my love?
No, my love.
Well said. What does when life doesn't go as planned mean to me? It just means that sometimes things are not going to go your way, no matter how well you try to get those particular things done, no matter how hard you try, no matter how smart you are, no matter how serious you are, no matter how much legitimate effort you put into something. And that's something on YouTube that's been very, it's been very demotivating for lots of creators, because a lot of creators, including myself, used to put a lot of time, hours into doing pre-recorded videos, editing them with graphics and making them perfect, right? For them to get 50, 100 views. And, when you do that 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 times, and you're still only getting 50, 100, maybe 200 views, maybe 300 to 500 views occasionally. And some people may say, 500 views is okay. Well, it's not okay when you're putting in hours of editing time and, you're not even breaking even. Go ahead.
It's when you have your 500 views, but the other person also has, let's say, 500 views. Well, that means you took 500 views away from us,
Well, yeah, I mean, if people are stealing your content like we were talking about, I'm talking about, let's just say nobody's stealing a particular piece of content, and you put a lot of time and effort into doing a pre-recorded, edited, good video, and you still only get 50, 100, 200 views. And let's just say in this case, you do that another 20, 30, 40 times over the next, 6 months to a year, and you're only getting 50, 100, 200 views. And the amount of time you're putting into it, you're not even making your money back. I mean, the ad revenue on 500 views is going to be not a whole lot. It's going to be maybe $4 or $5, maybe $3 or something like that, right? And so you get discouraged. The thing is, I've learned in life that if you really want to accomplish something, you got to do it because you love doing it, not because you're dependent on, views, the numbers, the stats, or the money.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep moving forward. And if it's meant to be, it'll just happen. And if it gets to the point of where, you need to do other things to be able to provide for your family, you got to go do what's going to bring in the money to provide for your family. but then you can still do this part-time. You can still do this during your spare time. And that's what's happened. That's what's been happening to me lately is I'm doing some other things. I'm not going to say what I'm doing. I've been doing side stuff for a while to bring in some extra money because the YouTube, yeah, we get a little bit of money every month, but that's not cutting it.
That's not livable money.
Yeah, it's not cutting it for what we need. So, when I started this, I was expecting I was going to do well because I know how to talk. I know how to create good videos. I know how to edit. I know how to do live streams. I know how to talk with people and be engaging and be inspirational and not usually not be boring. Maybe sometimes anything that's non-drama can be boring, but the least amount of boredom as possible for a non-drama piece of content or non-outrageous piece of content. It didn't go as planned, and here we are 9 years later, and we're still trying to get over that hump. We've made some progress slowly but surely, but it didn't go as planned. It doesn't mean we're going to give up. It means you have to just reassess, recalibrate, and focus on what you need to do to take care of your family, and then continue to do this as a secondary or third thing when time permits.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when life doesn't go as planned, what it means to me is that, hey, that's just the way it goes. Life isn't fair. And again, sometimes you can do everything absolutely as perfect as possible and still not get the results.
Mm-hmm.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let that get to you. Keep pushing forward. Eventually, something's going to pan out one way or another. All right. Question number 2, babe.
Yes.
So, Dawn, my lovely lady Dawn, why do people struggle so much when things change unexpectedly?
People don't like change. People hate it when things change, especially unexpectedly. I think people have a hard time adjusting to it. And so they don't look at that as a new opportunity, but they do see it as a closed door. And then they lose direction. Once that door closes, they don't know which way to go. And that could be very hard for people. That could be discouraging. Maybe they say, I give up. I don't know what my purpose is. All of those things. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Well said. Well said. For me, why do people struggle so much when things change unexpectedly? Because no one expects to struggle. No one expects to lose. No one ever thinks about it. At least most people don't think about it until it happens. And I guess I was the same way when I was younger. And when I started to encounter things in life that were unexpected, I started to realize that's just life. And then I started to expect things to not go my way.
Well, I'm sorry, but another good situation is when your father passed away.
Correct.
Completely unexpected.
Completely unexpected.
And talk about all of the family having to redirect, what they needed in life. That was a huge change.
It was.
And these are all different scenarios that can affect people. And some people, when that happens, they go down a dark path. Imagine his mom now having to take care of everything in the family. She's still got young boys to raise, into manhood, which is much easier when you have a man in the house. Taking over all the home finances, all of the maintenance of the house. That's change. And that's hard to adjust when, literally you get smacked in the face with devastation of some kind.
Right. So the big dog's under there scratching.
He's scratching.
It's
He's
all
moving
good.
your mat. He's
It's all
going in
good.
his place.
I love these dogs. Love you too.
Oh, well, thank you.
They're your dogs.
Glad
Well,
I'm
there are
included.
dogs now. I got it. No,
Excuse
but
me.
things started to change for me when I started to expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected.
Expect
Yes.
the unexpected. And I would say probably over the last 31 years of my life, when I turned 30, 22 years of my life, I'm 52 now. When I turned 30, I started to just realize, if I expect the unexpected, when it happens, not if it happens, because it's going to happen, right? It's not going to surprise me or phase me as much. Sure, anything unexpected is going to phase anyone. Anything that doesn't go as planned is going to affect, anyone. But if you go into it understanding that life isn't fair and, no matter how hard you try to do any particular thing legitimately, you still might not get the results that you want. For example, like YouTube, I know our podcast will probably only get 200 views on YouTube, maybe 150. We might get lucky and hit 250 or 300. I know we're not going to get 1,000 views or anything. I expect that to be the case.
Well, and then you're not setting yourself up too high.
Well, yeah. I'm basically saying that we do this because we love doing it. We do want it to grow, but we don't expect it to grow overnight. We don't even expect it to grow after we've done, now this is episode number 65. It has grown a little bit. But me not expecting there to be 1 million views or 500,000 views or 100,000 views or even 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 views, me not expecting that doesn't put pressure on myself or Don. And over the course of time, when it's meant to be, when you least expect it, is when it's going to happen. I've learned in life, everything happens when you least expect it. You got to stay cool, calm, and collected. Like today, besides the intro, which I'm always fired up in, I'm cool, calm, and collected because I'm not going to stress. I've got a lot going on. I've got to conserve my energy. I also want to show the people out there, lead by example, that, hey, you know what? You don't always have to be high strung all the time to be interesting or to, be doing the right thing, just relaxing. I'm staying cool, calm, and collected. And that makes a big difference. That's why, it's far less of a struggle for me now when things change unexpectedly than it used to be over 22 years ago.
Well, like everybody says, what is it? Oh, what is it? You get more flies? I don't know what it is.
You get more bees with honey than vinegar.
Yeah, something like that. Now I don't know what I was going to say. Never mind.
Hold on. You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Honey. Yeah, flies. I knew it was flies.
It means that being polite, kind, and pleasant yields much better results in getting what you want than being rude, aggressive, or sour.
And that's where I was going to go with you being calm. You can get your message across in a calm, cool, collected way. You don't have to be aggressive in your voice. You don't have to pinpoint on people. Just go the boring route if you have to. I mean, we've done that before, just gone off subject of what's going on YouTube. And we actually get more views when we do that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The saying applies to human interactions in a few key ways. Persuasion. People are much more willing to bend, negotiate, and help you out when you approach them with honey, kindness instead of vinegar, hostility.
Yes.
Conflict resolution, softening your approach, and using gentle persuasion usually de-escalates tense situations far better than yelling or making demands. This is something we should more so use on YouTube when the drama and other channels that are trying to create outrage are trying to get the reaction. We need to stay calm
Yeah.
and de-escalate the situation. We've gotten a lot better at doing that, and for the most part, it started to de-escalate.
It does.
Yeah.
It gets hard.
It does. It does.
You poke the bear one too many times.
Oh yeah.
They
have poked the bear.
Oof.
More than one too many times. Much more than one too many times, right?
Yep.
Consensus. There's a strong consensus on platforms like Quora that applying this metaphorical sweetness fosters cooperation and leadership, negotiations, and everyday relationships. So, yeah, you catch more flies with honey.
I knew the expression was appropriate to what I was saying.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember exactly how it went.
No worries. Shall we move on to question number 3? All right, my lovely lady Dawn. Babe, have some of your biggest lessons come from things that went wrong?
Oh, my God, yeah.
How about you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I've had a lot of things go wrong.
And so have I.
Unexpectedly gone wrong in my life, where I didn't feel there was anywhere to turn but just to crash and burn. There was nothing else out there, When
you feel like you're on your own, huh?
Yeah. When my marriage ended, I was on my own. When I had to stop being a nurse, like my purpose was over. When the kids grew up and they become adults, I'm not needed. It's one of those cycles that you go through in life. Go back to the question, honey. I want to see it.
Have some of your biggest lessons come from things that went wrong?
So when those things have happened to me, it took me a long time and a lot of therapy to be able to go through those feelings appropriately and then redirect them and say, you know what? I had to surrender my nursing license because I was sick. But there's a possibility my purpose is still out there somewhere. It doesn't have to be in the hospital. It could be outside the hospital. I got to a point where I was like, I was never wanted to be married again. And then as time progressed and I met a wonderful man, realized that being married is not the problem. It's the person you're married to.
Right.
So
finding the right person.
You take what these situations are that you don't like and you try to turn them, or at least keep the hope of moving forward to that goal. I lost love. I lost a career. And yes, the whole empty nest syndrome started very early with me and my kids. But that's still something I went through. Those are still feelings that I've had to deal with.
Right.
So that's kind of like explaining how unexpected things have changed my life.
Wonderful. Have some of my biggest lessons come from things that went wrong? Practically all of my biggest lessons have come from things that have gone wrong regarding me, myself, and I.
Me, myself, and I.
I've always said, for the last 8 to 9 years that I've been doing this on the YouTube end of things, that you learn from your mistakes. Okay? People make mistakes. When you make mistakes, you're not a failure. Those mistakes are necessary for success to be possible. Okay? Nobody instantly becomes successful without ever making several mistakes. And so that is the biggest lesson for me that's come from things that have gone wrong, is the learning experience of all of those things that have gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things that have gone wrong combined lead me to one main lesson regarding all mistakes. They are inevitable. They are inevitable. They're going to happen. Mistakes happen. And people are going to make unintentional mistakes. I say unintentional because typically mistakes are unintentional. If you're intentionally doing something wrong, that's not a mistake to me. That is something purposefully done to try to take advantage of someone for your own personal gain. And that's something I'm strongly against here at the GNA. I've seen many people out on the YouTube side of things that are just very, very selfish and inconsiderate. And, they have not a care for anyone besides themselves. And they just seem to never learn from their mistakes. Why? Because, first of all, they can never admit that they make a mistake. We all make mistakes. Whether we admit it or not, we all make mistakes. So, yeah, that's pretty much, those are my biggest lessons from things that have gone wrong, are the fact that mistakes are always, to me, a lesson learned. All right, ready for number 4, my love?
Yes.
Number 4. So, Dawn, why do people take setbacks so personally?
I think because maybe they work hard for something, and then when there is a setback, they get discouraged. They feel like all that hard work was for nothing. And then they don't want to get back into it again, because then they don't want to have that same disappointment. It becomes a cycle for them in their mind. That's the thing, is when you have these speed bumps or doors shutting or windows, you can't think of them as like shutting you off from the rest of your opportunities out there. You don't have to keep doing the same thing over again to try to find perfection. You never will. You've got to expand and open your mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. For me, why do people take setbacks so personally? We all become emotionally invested in outcomes. I'm very emotionally invested in the GNA. I have been since 2011, even before we took it online back in 2017. This is my baby. This is my everything. This is my purpose. So I am very emotionally invested in this. So things that happen to this organization, I take very personally. And any setback, I take extremely personally. And I'm trying to get better at that. And I have gotten better at that because I'm realizing, the setbacks that I don't take as personally or don't take personally at all, we overcome them much quicker and we start to get further ahead much quicker. We create expectations. I think in this modern world, people have expectations that are unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to the millennials and going back to the entitlement and, people feel they're entitled to certain things. They expect certain things to always go that certain way. And when they don't go that certain way, then these people overreact, and especially if it's on the internet. Like, if it's on the internet, they'll just overreact because they're like, okay, if I didn't get my way, then I'll just start to do something even more stupid, which we know outrage sells on YouTube, and so do they. They just amp up the outrage, and that, I guess, cures the problem for them temporarily. In my opinion, it puts a temporary Band-Aid on it, but it doesn't correct the underlying issue. It's always going to be there. And then, when reality doesn't match those expectations, it's painful. It hurts. And we feel rejected. We feel like a loser. We feel like, or we're not productive. We feel not worthy. That can very quickly take a negative toll on your self-worth. And your self-worth is very, very important regarding all aspects of life. You will not be successful personally or professionally if you lack self-worth. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have nothing if you don't believe in yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so that is that. Let's go to question number 5, and then we'll take your break, my love. Question number 5, Don. What is the difference between giving up and changing direction?
It goes back to the definition of insanity, when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's what you do if you don't take what God is telling you is like, this is not the direction you need to go. You need to go this way. And so if you can't open your mind to hear the help that's there, whether it is from a spiritual place or from people in your life that may be helping you find a new direction, have you pivot the career choice you had that maybe isn't working out for you now. It's like you got to use all of your contacts,
resources.
Everybody has a resource that you can,
Absolutely.
utilize. So
you're saying use your resources.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You could have let's just say you're having an issue moving forward in the job you have, or, you're just hitting a wall. You could talk to somebody and have them help you figure out how to break that wall, or you could just sit in negativity and maybe a group chat that's all about negativity, and to make yourself feel better by making fun of other people that are going through the same
it's like dwelling in your sorrows
as
or
you.
something, right?
What?
Like dwelling in your sorrows instead of just learning from your mistakes or the unexpected situations and, just continuing to move forward in the positive way.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying there.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
For me, what is the difference between giving up and changing direction? I've pretty much been doing the same thing out here on YouTube for the last almost 9 years or so. I have changed direction based on the branding. I've gone through multiple brandings. First, initially was Coach Eli, uncompromising business and personal relationship coaching. I then branded myself as a grip on life. I then branded myself as Coach Eli, Elias Mellis. And all of that was still under the umbrella of my organization, the GNA, short for Genuine Networking Association. But almost, I think, 2 years ago, probably a couple years ago or so, I decided to, at least for the time being, maybe permanent, who knows, I may bring it back at some point. I decided to get rid of the Coach Eli brand and brand it all under Genuine Networking Association because I realized, this is not about me. This is about people. And this is not about me wanting to become a famous life coach or something like that. I don't even classify myself as a life coach anymore. What we do is, we teach personal development. We motivate, we uplift, we inspire people to become the best version of themselves they can be. And we're also probably one of the best emotional support groups on the planet. And that's where our focus is going to be, because what people don't have nowadays that they need more so now than ever because of the way the internet is, and everyone's on the internet, and there's a lot of stuff going on the internet that really hurts people emotionally, is we need a very good and strong emotional support group, and that's what
something we have.
That's something that we have here that is second to none, and we want to continue to build off of that, continue to meet more people that can help us help other people become better at managing their emotions. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that you can rest assured that this is a safe place, and we will treat you like family. We will try to help you as best that we can. And the great thing is, it's not just Eli and myself. We've got Sandra, we have Tia, we have Odian.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of other people that are in our organization that also can help many of you out there.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we have people in different countries in our organization.
Absolutely.
You never know what they can help you with. You know, you never know. So possibilities are endless.
Yes, they absolutely are. The possibilities are endless. With that being said, we are at 51 minutes. Let me go ahead and turn off the camera here, and Dawn is going to step away and take her restroom break. And while Dawn does that, let me remind each and every one of you that if you're listening to us on the audio-only podcast network, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon's Music, My Lady's Favorite, iHeartRadio, Amazon's Audible. Amazon has music and Audible. Or if you're listening to us on YouTube's Music, you can actually listen to us or watch us on YouTube Music, because YouTube Music is owned by Google. So, and our video is on YouTube. So YouTube Music carries over the video as well. Or if you're listening to us on many of the other not as popular, not as well-known audio-only podcast networks, if you would like to view the video version of our podcast, which is basically the same thing with just video, we actually rip the audio from the video. Go to the description section of wherever you're listening to this. About halfway down, you'll see the link to that video. It'll redirect you back to our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. While you're there, please subscribe, bang the bell, and select the notifications so you don't miss anything. And then when you're on that, while you're on that video page, go in the description section a couple lines down. You'll see the link to GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development. That is our live streaming channel, where typically we would go live, if not every day, almost every day. Lately, it's been a couple times a week. I'm hoping to get it back to at least 4 or 5 times a week, coming soon, next week or two. I've got a lot of things going on right now, but we go live there often, and we engage people in the chat. We answer your questions. We're there to motivate, uplift, and inspire. If you're struggling with something personally or professionally, please come to our streams. Ask your questions there while we're live. If you can't make the live, you can watch the replays. You can comment in the comment section, and we'll respond to you another time. So, yeah, make sure you click that link and subscribe to GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development as well. And that way, you'll be able to keep in touch with us more regularly than just these podcasts. So that is that. I am just waiting for Dawn to come back into the podcast room here. While I wait for Dawn, just to make you folks aware, yeah, we do Walking with Purpose streams. I do walks. Sometimes we do Driving with Purpose streams. Sometimes we do On the Couch with Dawn and Eli. Sometimes we do in studio streams, which are similar looking as these pre-recorded video versions of our podcast on YouTube, but instead they're live originally. Sometimes Dawn will join me on the live streams from the studio. Sometimes I do them on my own. Sometimes we have guests. Just depends. So make sure you're all subbed up, like they say. Sub up. I'm learning the millennial lingo, the short code, right? Instead of saying please subscribe, sub up.
Oh my.
Oh my. I'm saying sub up, right?
Oh my.
May I turn the camera
You
back
may.
on, my love?
Absolutely. Although that's a nice backdrop.
Oh, yeah? You like it?
I like it.
Yeah. Take a look. If you're on the YouTube version of the podcast, Life. Somebody up there raising their hands, right? All right. Let's get back to it. We are at 55 minutes.
I think I got a hair in my eye.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no.
Question number 6. My lovely lady Dawn, have you ever experienced a blessing in disguise?
I'm looking at one right now.
Oh, boy.
There have been a lot of blessings in disguise. You don't realize how people can touch your heart, how the little things in life hold so dear in memories. I don't want to sound like an old biddy or anything, but, when you look back at everything you've experienced, that even when something happens unexpectedly, like a baby, it's actually a blessing. There are a lot of people that don't expect to get pregnant, but really, it turns into a blessing.
Yeah.
So those are situations that, yeah, you can imagine being like, oh my God, I didn't expect this. And then
Right.
9 months later, you're like, oh my God, I'm in love,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it could be anything, but that's a great example.
Yeah. Anything else, babe?
Mm-mm.
Have I ever experienced a blessing in disguise? Well, one of them is you. Thank you for, I guess, saying that about me. Very kind of you. So yes, you've been a blessing in disguise, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you more than you know. I think I've had many blessings in disguise in my life. I've met a lot of wonderful people in my life. Before I met Dawn, I had some past relationships. They ended up not going the way that I wanted them to go. But you want to know something? Every single one of them was a learning experience. Every single one of them prepared me for the right woman that finally came into my life 4.5 years ago. As cheesy and cliche this may sound, it's the truth of the matter.
Well, it may sound cheesy, but I say God bless the broken roads.
Right.
That led me straight to you, because that's what it is. The past relationships, those are the broken roads.
Right.
And you learn from those mistakes. It's like You're like, okay, I have my set of boxes. Well, this guy only checked off 4. Now, so my next guy, it's like you check them off until you find the right guy that checks all the boxes. Yeah,
the blessings in disguise. It's kind of like Garth Brooks' unanswered prayer song.
Yes.
When he was at a
high school football game.
At a football game. Yeah, and
my wife and I ran into.
Him and his wife ran into his old high school flame, right? It didn't work out. And then he says, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
Remember, when you're talking to the man upstairs, just because he doesn't answer doesn't mean he don't care. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers.
Because, we don't realize what we really want. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You just don't realize that what you sometimes have in front of you is a blessing.
Right. Just the other night. Nah, I'm not going to do it. But no, I mean, every experience in life is a learning experience, and the ones that don't work out are a blessing in disguise. And that's how you have to look at things, because at that point, you're looking at it realistically, you're looking at it from a positive standpoint, and you're not letting it affect you from moving forward and living the life you want to live, and eventually accomplishing everything that you may not have accomplished yet. Had I given up, I would have never met Dawn. Had she given up, she would have never met me. Excuse me. And so, take your blessings in disguise as a positive thing. It's a positive thing. Okay. People don't become knowledgeable unless they make mistakes. That's the bottom line. Nobody becomes extremely smart out of the gate. You basically learn from your mistakes. You learn from trial and error. What don't you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to add to that, babe?
No.
We are at 1 hour and 1 minute. Question number 7. So, babe, why do people compare their lives to everyone else?
I think that people are never happy with what they have, and they always look at what, like, the grass is greener on the other side.
Right.
But as you learn, as you grow up and you learn and you meet people, you realize that, a household down the street that looks like the perfect family really is like one of them's a serial killer. You never know, and you might want to be in that family. Then, I don't want to be in there, So the grass is not greener, and people need to think, if they're not happy, what can they do to make their own life happy by not just attaching themselves to somebody they think will make them happy.
Well said. Well said. You want to add anything else to that, babe?
Nope.
So why do people compare their lives to everyone else? I think what really happens here is that people that are struggling to reach success are comparing themselves to people that have already reached success or some level of success. I don't think people in general compare their lives to everyone else. Maybe some people, are just so miserable that even if they see someone that's happy that may not be technically as successful as they could be, they criticize and attack that person or those types of people because it makes them feel better about themselves. I think there's a lot of projecting going on, especially more so in this modern digital world we all live in with the internet and YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and all these other video platforms, Kick and TikTok. And you got all these people competing for the same space. They want attention because attention it's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you that if it wasn't about money, people wouldn't really care about getting that much attention.
Yeah.
On the internet nowadays. It all boils down to... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because the other thing that people will get, the entertainment they get off of YouTube is like making fun of your life and going real life on your life like that. It's a double-edged sword.
It is. Sometimes damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Yep.
Sometimes no matter what you do, either way that you go, it's not going to change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you have to chalk it up to, hey, it is what it is. Lesson learned. I'm not going to dwell over this. I'm going to let it go. and move on and try something else or do something else, right? But yeah, I'm just noticing, social media has really, really changed the way people behave. And half the time, maybe even 80% of the time, the stuff you see on the internet is all like fabricated. It's all scripted. It's all fake.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it comes off as real, if you're as intuitive as Don and I are, you can tell when people are acting, even though it may appear like they're not to the majority. We can see. We've watched enough TV. We've got all the Netflix. We've got the Paramount Plus. We've got the Peacock, HBO Max. We've got Hulu, Disney Plus, all that stuff. Direct TV. We've got all these channels. We watch all this stuff. And we can tell what's real and what's phony, even if the phony stuff is being presented in a way where they're trying to make it appear real.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fool us. But that's the world that we live in nowadays. Everyone wants to compare themselves to everyone else and say, oh, I'm better than you. And, I got more followers than you, so I'm successful and you're not. A lot of people nowadays are basing their success based on their internet following or their social media following. That's not what success is based off of. Yeah, there's some truth. Yes, more followers you have, you can make more money. But just because you're not successful on social media doesn't mean you're not successful overall. Success is not based on social media. Success is based on everything overall happening in your life. That's the bottom line there. Anything else you want to add, babe?
No.
Okay. Question number 8. We are at 1 hour and 7 minutes. Babe, what can people control when life feels out of control?
Their actions. That's the only thing you can control is your actions or your reactions to what's going on in your life. So, you really have to stop and think, why did this happen? What's going on? And what are the other directions in life I need to take to overcome this? Because that's really what happens when you get an obstacle. You want to overcome that obstacle. You want to find your way around the obstacle. So that's what you need to do. You need to just step outside of your own little headspace and look outside the box.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, sir.
So what do I feel people control when life feels out of control? Well, we can't control everything. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing we can control is how we respond, our response, how we show up, what we say, what we don't say, what we do, what we don't do, right? We can control our effort. We can control our attitude. We can control our character. And pretty much that's it. Other things are out of our control, right? So control what you can. That doesn't mean you're going to get your way or you're going to win every time or you're going to be successful at everything you do. It just means you're putting yourself in the best position. And when you put yourself in the best position, if you don't win or reach success this time around, maybe the next time you will. But if you don't stay within control, you're never going to reach that success. That's the bottom line there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Let's go to question number 9. It's probably going to be a pretty short show today. Probably only going to be an hour and 20 minutes long or so, which is fine. Short and sweet this week. Question number 9, my love. What role does patience play when things aren't happening fast enough? And this is something many people struggle with.
I have zero patience.
Oh.
I've always been wanting the person that wants instant gratification. I don't want to, I don't want to actually diet and exercise, but I want to wake up and lose weight. It's like that's the type of person I was.
Okay.
And I say I was because I know I'm not patient about other stupid things in the house, whatever. But when it comes to what's happening in my own life, I know that it's on its own time schedule.
Right.
And when I feel like I've done everything, why isn't this happening?
Right.
I have to remember there might be something else I need to do, or I might just need to wait. It might be in somebody else's court at that time, and it's just the way that it has to do with what is not happening and how you approach that angle of your life, whoever it is about.
Well said. Anything else you want to say, babe?
Nope.
So for me, what role does patience play when things aren't happening fast enough? It's everything, but it's the most difficult thing to do, to be patient. Patience is a virtue. I'm with Dawn. Realistically, I mean, I have, for the most part, I've shown a lot of patience. Not because I want to be patient necessarily, because I know that if I'm not patient, I will automatically fail. When you're not patient, 9 out of 10 times you will fail. Now, sometimes people get lucky, and when they're not patient, they might still win a time or 2 or 3, but eventually it'll catch up to them as well. If you have my luck, I never win when I'm impatient. Every time that I've been impatient, I lose, and I lose hard. I lose hard and rough. It's rough, right? I've always said that persistence and perseverance is going to push you through during the slow times to reach success. A lot of people on YouTube that take the shortcut and create very hostile drama type of content where they attack people, they defame people, they just create very vile, outrageous content. I've always said in the past, it's not sustainable long term. Okay. You want to do things that are sustainable long term. Unfortunately, the things that are sustainable long term require a lot of patience that most people nowadays, especially with the way the internet's moving so fast, people don't have the patience.
And sometimes when they don't have the patience, they'll give up on what they actually really want because they're not getting it fast enough.
Exactly. And we're still nowhere near where we want to take the G&A and bring in the revenue that we want to bring in. But here we are, episode number 65. We started this 65 weeks ago, over a year ago. We have not missed 1 week, regardless of what's going on. And right now, honestly, I could use a break. But I'm not going to end this streak because this is something that my lady and I believe in. Even if
we're very proud of.
We're proud of this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're proud of this, right? Our goal is to do this podcast together every single week, non-stop, until we will not take a break until the G&A finally starts to hit the next level. And that's just the way, that's our goal. That means we might not take a week off for another 30 or 40 episodes. We'll see how it goes, but
expect the unexpected. We never know.
Right. When you expect the unexpected, that's when things happen. We're not expecting anything. We're just doing what we love and letting it ride. And whatever's meant to be is meant to be, right? But patience is everything. when things aren't happening fast enough. That doesn't mean it's not meant to be. It just means it's not the right time, or hasn't been long enough yet. Some things take longer to mature. For example, when you plant a seed, it cannot grow any faster than a certain speed. You need sunlight, you need water, etc. It's going to take a certain amount of time, and you have to have patience, right?
It's like watching a pot of water boiling. It's not going to boil any faster with you staring at it.
No, even though we all do, and we put the lid on top to try to get it to get hot faster, right? Because we want to be able to put in our spaghetti and start cooking our dinner, right? Or whatever we're boiling, right? Eggs, spaghetti, potatoes for mashed potatoes, whatever it is, right? But patience is everything. The more patience you have, the more successful you will be in the long run. Don't think because what you're trying to accomplish is not happening yet. It's not because it's not feasible. It just requires more time and patience. That's the bottom line. Anything else, babe, regarding that? Ready for the final question? We are at 1 hour and 16 minutes. All right. So, Dawn, what's the biggest lesson you've learned when life doesn't go according to plan?
To have some patience.
Okay.
Speaking of the last one, having some patience, because I have to realize it's not going a certain way for a reason. I have to figure out that reason. So I have to have patience in myself to solve the problem. You know, I can't expect it just to solve itself, right? You can stare at a crossword puzzle all day, but it's not going to fill in the words, you know? So you actually have to do things. You have to pivot. You have to look at your life and not look at it as a bad thing, but as a option to expand whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. Anything else, babe?
Yep.
I took some notes here. Let me read that. I think the biggest lesson is simple. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep adapting. And keep believing tomorrow can be better than today. Because the story isn't over. As long as we're still here, the story is still being written. As long as you're breathing air, your story is still being written.
Yeah.
It's not over. Right.
It's over when the book closes and it says the end.
Right. And that's up to God.
Yep.
In my opinion. I believe in God. But the biggest lesson that I've learned when life doesn't go according to plan, again, like you said, it's patience. It's having patience. It's having faith in yourself that you're worth it, and knowing that what you're trying to accomplish or create is good for this world, and knowing that's going to continue to push you to keep moving forward. Even though you have not reached success yet, it doesn't mean it's not meant to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. You've got to believe in yourself, believe in your vision, believe in your purpose. Okay? Have self-love, have self-respect, right? Be humble, be kind, like one of your favorite songs.
Yes.
Right? And over the course of time, that's going to come off as your personality, as who you are. And I will tell you, a lot of people are going to look at you and be like, wow, I've never met someone like this. They're such a good, decent, down-to-earth person. And they'll respect that about you. And then some other people will see that and say, oh, you're being phony. You're putting up a front just for clicks or views. And here's the thing. I can even understand why those people are saying that, because there are a lot of people that are doing real sounding stuff, pretending to sound real just to fool people. So when people like you and I are actually 100% real, right? it's hard for some people to believe that because of the so many other people that are pretending to be real to try to fool people into trusting them so that way they can be sold something or whatever, right? And so, again, patience, one of the biggest lessons I've learned when life doesn't go according to plan. You've got to have patience. You've got to keep going. You got to keep learning. You got to keep adapting, right? Adapting is huge. I've heard so many people out on YouTube. I'll mention one, Pedro Santiago, Mr. Bet on You. He used to be Pedro DoorDash Santiago. Now he's Pedro Mr. Bet on You Santiago. I actually gave him that advice a few years back. He finally took it. And he's actually a pretty good guy. And I've been following him for over 3 years, probably close to 4 years now. And one thing he always says is keep adapting. Especially if you're working the gig apps.
Yeah.
Is keep adapting. Don't just do one. Do 2, 3, 4. Sign up for as many as possible. Multi-app. Keep your options open, right? You've got to keep adapting in life, or you're going to get run over.
Yeah.
You're going to get passed up.
Well, like in the gig world out there, there are so many gig drivers and only so many customers, So I see, well, I don't know personally, but I also see a lot of people are not dashing. I know we don't dash, but talking to some of my friends, like they're like, we don't even dash anymore because it's too expensive and they're ripping you off. And so now these gig drivers,
gas prices are up.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. The gig drivers are like, oh, we're spending this much money, so we expect more tips. And people are just not getting, and they're not adapting to the changes that are going on economically here.
Right. What Dawn is saying is basically you need to adapt or it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Anything can pan out for you as long as you're willing to adapt. And that might mean that, hey, if 3, 4, or 5 years ago, you were getting orders that are 2 miles for $30, and now for 2 miles you're getting orders that are, $8 to $10 to $12. You got to take those.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be declining that stuff. You gotta learn to adapt. I mean, you don't want to take orders that are, 10 miles for $6. That would be absolutely stupid. You'd lose money. But you got to learn to adapt in life because things are going to keep changing, and that is out of our control. It's out of our control. It has to do with the way our country is run here in the U.S. It has to do with how the global market is happening worldwide. There are a lot of factors that force us to keep adapting to the current situation and times. And if we don't, it's just not going to pan out. It's going to be very difficult to survive. But anyway, anything else, babe? You want to share your final thoughts before I start to
well, I just want to say thanks
make the
again.
Statement?
Thanks again for being with us for this show. We all appreciate you here at the JNA. I hope you all have a great, exciting, prosperous, wonderful week until we see you again. And stay healthy, stay happy.
Absolutely. Okay, 1 hour and 24 minutes. So, babe, I think what this episode really comes down to is resilience. Life is going to surprise us. Life is going to challenge us. Life is going to frustrate us. And life is going to test us. But every challenge gives us a choice. We can become bitter or we can become stronger, right? We can focus on what we've lost or we can focus on what we still have. That's what I've been doing, is focusing on what we still have, not what we've lost. We've lost a lot. I think everyone's lost a lot. But when people lose things, they focus on what they've lost and not what they still have. What you still have to work with, right? And sometimes the greatest opportunities arrive after our original plans fall apart. So if you're listening today and life isn't going the way you hoped, don't give up. Don't quit. Don't assume your best days are behind you. Because the next chapter might be the one that changes everything. Right, babe?
Yeah.
What do you think before we...
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Beautifully said. So, babe, this was a really good one. This was a really, really good show. Very, very good show. And just like I always say, how do we end up these shows, baby? Just like I always say...
Don't take life for granted.
That's right. Don't take life for granted. And with that being said, it is time to start wrapping this up. All right. You've been listening to the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast. And this was episode number 65. And the title was When Life Doesn't Go As Planned. One more time. Episode number 65 of the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast is titled When Life Doesn't Go As Planned. So one more time before we get on out of here, if you're listening to us on the audio-only podcast networks such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon's Music, my lady's favorite,
iHeartRadio.
One more time.
And iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio, not the third time, but the fourth time is the charm. My lady loves iHeartRadio, and so do I. That's where I listen to the replay of the show. I also watch it on YouTube. I make sure it all goes through properly. So iHeartRadio, we're also on Amazon's Audible. We're also on YouTube's Music, and we're also on many of the not as popular or not as well-known audio-only podcast networks. Just do a Google search for the Don and Eli Take on the World podcast, and you'll find us everywhere. So if you're listening to us audio-only and you'd like to watch the video of our podcast, go below the description section halfway down of wherever you're listening to this audio only. Click the link. That'll redirect you back to our main channel, GNA, Genuine Personal Development. When you're there, subscribe, bang the bell, and select all notifications so you don't miss anything. Then afterwards, go below that description. A couple lines down, you'll see the link to GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development. It's our live streaming channel where we go live as often as possible. Typically, we like to go live every day or every other day. Lately, it hasn't been as much, but we're going to get back to it, so you're going to want to be subscribed there as well. With that being said, time to go. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.